topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Why Johnny Hates Sports is a best-selling book about kids in sports. It chronicles why, at a very early age, children are thrust into organized sports long before they have the necessary skills to feel successful. Fathers and mothers are asked to be their coach without having any training on how to coach. And the leagues in which kids play are governed by volunteers whose main focus becomes scoreboards, championships, and all-star games. Statistics show that close to 70% of kids will have quit by the age of 13. Most said it ceased to be fun. And that's why Johnny Hates Sports.
Hey, good morning, everybody. And here we are again, I think about the 20th week. We're doing Why Johnny Hates Sports. And you see this cap? Well, visor. No, I didn't go to the Open in Britain or Ireland where it was. My son John brought it back for me. It's the least he could do for me, but I mend things around here. I'm just kidding. We're going to get together with Ross Smith, our co-host, in a minute. But before, we're going to show you a couple clips of why Johnny hates sports. So, Juan, if you can check them out, let's check it.
This youth basketball coach is accused of sexually assaulting young players who stayed the night at his home. 41-year-old Aaron Hermstad taught at Mastery School in Minneapolis and coached basketball at Hospitality House. According to a criminal complaint, a child, now 14, says when he was 11 or 12, he stayed at his house, woke up to his coach assaulting him. A 12-year-old tells investigators earlier this year Hermstad offered to pay him for a sexual act. His charges include first and second degree criminal sexual conduct. Katie Johnston for WCCO4 News.
You know, if you think that those stories are just a few out there that happen, what about all the others that you don't hear about? See, what happens in kids' sports, especially kids that are under the age of, well, it really doesn't matter, but let's talk about boys and sexual abuse. You have pedophiles that roam and go through the internet and looking around for opportunities. And you find out that kids are playing baseball and you can be their coach, you can be around them, and that's where the opportunity exists. I know it happened in my family with John when he was playing baseball. He had a coach that used to drive him home because I was busy working or whatnot. I thought, yeah, that's great. Till one time he came home and I said, where'd you get that new glove? He said, Coach, whatever his name was, bought it for me. I said, it ain't happened. So you know what we found out. But Ross, I know, you know, in your experience of playing baseball all the way up the line until you got into, you know, signing with the Cardinals. Do you ever experience anything like that?
Personally, not myself, thank goodness. I did hear about it around, but me, no, not at all, nothing for me.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's such a tricky story and things that you hate to see happen. But, you know, we try to tell parents with our organization, the National Alliance for Youth Sports, we try to tell them, look, when you sign your kid up, make sure that league has a checking system where they can check who these people are coaching them. And so that's what we need to do. And that's what every parent needs to do to protect them. So we got another one, Ross, coming up, a little video of the next one. Let's look at that.
One of the state's top high school softball players is transgender. New at 5, Jonah Kaplan reports on a new lawsuit calling for that athlete and the state policy to be benched.
Minnesota leaders have been adamant against outside pressure from the Trump administration regarding transgender athletes. Now, a new federal lawsuit filed on behalf of 3 high school girls softball players might be a whole new ballgame.
We do not agree with the Attorney General's position on allowing males to participate in girls' sports here in Minnesota.
According to the lawsuit, the girls were teammates with and also opponents of a transgender female. One of the plaintiffs argued the athlete in question pitched a one-hit shutout against them, leading her team to miss a state tournament. Another plaintiff claimed the pitcher hit her with a pitch, causing, quote, pain unlike she had ever experienced.
One male can displace any female from a first place podium, from a scholarship, and from any opportunity. And so these girls are bravely standing up and saying enough is enough.
Several parties are named in the lawsuit, including Attorney General Keith Ellison and 3 metro school districts. It comes just a month after Ellison himself sued the president, charging his executive orders banning trans athletes from women's sports are unconstitutional and violate Title IX. State lawmakers, including Representative Lee Finke, this year also struck down attempts to enforce those orders.
The statistics for this athlete in question, clearly show some superiority or some talent. The statistics show that polls show that most of Americans support some sort of separation. So what is it that they get wrong, or what is it that maybe people are missing on the issue?
A lot of people don't know anybody who is trans, especially trans kids, and what those experiences are like. And I think we will not achieve that goal by further alienating and removing trans people and trans youth from the societies in which we live.
In a statement, the AG said, quote, I will continue to defend the rights of all students to play sports with their friends and peers. Jonah Kaplan, WCCO News.
The group filing the suit has been involved in several other lawsuits around the country. Female Athletes United describes itself as an advocacy group for fairness, safety, and equal opportunity for women in sports.
Hey, Ross, this is a very touchy subject to be talking about, but, we all have our opinions, but I think it boils down, my opinion of it is that, as a former high school and college wrestler, every time I hear the story about that, I think, this is a weird situation of having to think that trans athletes of playing sports like wrestling, where is the advantage, disadvantage? But to me, it's obvious when you see it that if you have, a male person now that is in a female body, how can they compete equally? I know there's a lot of stuff scientifically and medically and whatever, but it just never seems to fit for me that could be fair. What do you think about it, Ross?
Well, I think it's biological. I think in the genetic pool, when you as a human, you have a bigger bone structure, you have more muscular structure, you have a severe advantage. Again, these are all opinionated thoughts, but I think that has a category to where it could be by itself. I believe that males belong with males and females belong with females. And if they want to make another category, then I feel like that's what they should do. I have no problem with that. The issue is giving an award to someone that has put in maybe not as much time or not as much effort as someone that has spent their entire life trying to win first place and they physically can't because there's an advantage genetically on one side.
Yeah, you see that situation. I always remind me of the swimming situation where that swimmer won by a significant amount of lengths, and I think her name is Rowdy Gaines was the one that began all this issue and bringing it now to the Supreme Court. But it just looks so obvious that the female swimmer that came from a male genetics had a great advantage. So I guess we'll figure it all out in time, but it's just an issue of our times. So with that, we're going to switch on to the next section and see what we got here to talk about with Ross Smith.
Extra Innings with Fred and Ross.
You know, Ross, I got to admit, I wasn't a baseball player, but I loved baseball, and all of my time was divided. I was one of those athletes that my coach, when I was in high school, made us practice wrestling year round. And, you know, you go through that whole experience, but I never had a chance to play baseball, but I loved baseball. Ironically, the St. Louis Cardinals were my favorite team for so many years. And here I am talking to somebody that was signed by the St. Louis Cardinals. So let's get into it, Ross, and talk about baseball, though. I'm from Maryland, and now I'm a Orioles fan, but I'm also a Marlins fan, but I'm pretty much an Orioles fan. And like a lot of Oriole fans today, I mean, they are a tremendous disappointment for this season. I mean, what do you make of it?
Well, I mean, each season brings its ups and downs. You never really know until you get, fully into it. And then while you're in the middle of the seasons, a lot of times it depends on, the health of the entire team and the decisions that some of the, you know, business side of baseball, those minds, the decisions that they make. You have ideas and plans for what you want to get done throughout the year, and not every year does it go your way. So it's playing chess when a lot of guys are playing checkers. So the Orioles have had a little bit of a down year this year, but I do, have a little bit of insight of the people that run the organization, and I got full faith in them that they're headed in the right direction. They have the good pieces that they need. It just has to come together at the right time, and right now it doesn't seem to be that time for Baltimore.
Yeah, I mean, I know what you're talking about, coming together at the right time and whatnot, but I mean, the Orioles have been classically lacking in building their farm system and whatnot. And then they get different players that come up and it doesn't do the work like it should. I mean,
Right.
the only one that they have is like Holiday, who they got, Matt Holiday's son, and he's the one that's doing fairly well. But
Hmm.
others like Gunderson and other players, I mean, I know the pitchers are injured, but to be 4-11 with your record in the major leagues at this time of
Yeah.
year, yeah, that's bad.
Yeah,
So
it's not a good look for Baltimore in the city right now with the Orioles the way they're playing.
yeah, I mean,
Sounds like
there
you're
are
a
other
baseball
teams
fan
that,
though.
that
You got the Cardinals, the Orioles, and the Marlins in your fan base. Seems like you're just an overall baseball fan to me, Fred.
well, yeah, the Marlins. Hey, you can't knock the Marlins though. They've done pretty good. Surprisingly, everybody thought that they were going to be, you know, occupying that cellar this year, next year, and forever. But something needs to have turned something down, and it's just they're coming back. But you look at teams like Atlanta. I mean, I thought Atlanta would be pretty good, and but they're not doing that well. We got to
No,
lay.
no. I mean, it's ups and downs for every team every year.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, but I'm really having a hard time hearing you, and I can't tell what's going on. So I'm trying to play off a few words that you had there. So let's go to another story situation of pitching. So you got Paul Skeens for the Pirates. Can you make one of the best pitchers in baseball? And look at now the Pirates are back in the cellar. So, that's such a sad situation to me that are they wasting this talent? Uh-oh. We lost you, Ross. I guess you're going through a tunnel. Anyway, talk about Paul Skeens. I mean, yeah, he's just such a great pitcher and dominating out there that I don't know how you explain it to the Pirate fans. But then you got what's his name? I forget with the you have Tarrant Skokol. Wow, what an amazing pitcher he is. I mean, he's going to be probably the Cy Young winner award for next year. So we'll see what happens with that. Now, I got one last thing, and I don't know what happened to Ross. Somewhere he's in the roads of Georgia. He said going somewhere 2 hours away, and I'm in trouble, folks. I'm in trouble because he's not there. But what I wanted to talk to him about also was Juan Soto. And, you know, whether they sign him for like $430 million for 15 years and is that going to work out? I don't know. I mean, the major league agents and scouts and owners and everybody talk about money and what would happen with all that money that they paid him and are going to pay him for 15 years. But I mean, he started the season not doing very well. And can you imagine a guy that was, you know, achieved a contract for $430 million that didn't make the All-Star team? That's amazing to me that you know, but that's Major League Baseball, and all of us fans of baseball that are paying all those big prices to go watch a game, yeah, we're paying for all that. So, yeah, that's kind of the take that we have on Major League Baseball that I was going to do with Ross today. But, you know, I don't know what else I could talk about. So, Juan, we're going to have to bring it into the next section and hope for the best that Ross might be able to come in. So, here's a little commercial.
In this best-selling book, a child, while failing to live up to his father's expectations, is shamed and humiliated beyond belief. He vows to never allow his own son to face the same.
You know, I get asked all the time when people say, when I wrote the book, Why Johnny Hates Sports, why does Johnny hate sports? My kid plays baseball and he doesn't hate baseball or he doesn't hate sports. But I'm talking about what my experience is and has been for a long number of years. And that is, I used to say that if you walk in any bar and sit down and somebody's next to you and say, what's the first thing that you think about kids playing baseball, Little League Baseball? And the first thing that comes out of them is, oh, the damn parents. Yeah, you get rid of them and you get rid of all the problems that you'd have playing or having Little League Baseball. And that's partially true, but let me explain what happens so that any of you don't understand it, but those of you that have kids playing Little League could understand it. You know, it starts out by a league and a community is looking for a place to play. They go to a recreation department and they say, we'd like to use Southwest Field for our baseball league, the Southwest Little League or Youth League or whatever league for next year. And they sign a permit, go out, and then they look for players and they have a sign-up sheet in the neighborhood. Sign up for Southwest Little League Baseball at Saturday, whatever. It doesn't matter. And what happens is the parent comes over and there's Billy or Mary, or in this case, Johnny, and they go over and they sign them up. And then the guy at the desk says, thank you very much. Now, over in that next line over there is your coaching sign-up assignment. And he says, you got to be kidding me. I got to coach. I've never coached baseball. I never even played baseball. How am I going to do it? I'm not going to do it. And then the guy said, well, I guess if you're not doing it, then your son probably is not going to be playing. Well, why not? Well, because we can't have a league unless we have coaches. And so here you go, Mr. Jones. We need you. So he signs up the coach. He gets out there. He starts getting these kids on the field, and now he's got them out there playing. And it's fun. The games are going, and he's saying this is pretty easy. And he looks at the scoreboards, and they don't mean much until all the way halfway through the season. Then it begins to be who's going to win this championship. And they said, oh, wait a minute. We got to play better. And all of a sudden, the coach turns from this dad who worked at the hardware store, now becomes this professional baseball coach. He's now telling kids what to do, when to do it, how to do it, if to do it. He's turning around yelling at parents who yell at him. He's screaming at the umpires and saying you couldn't see anything if it was right in front of your face. And so that's what happens. And so the league has to deal with it. The parents have to deal with it. The coach has to deal with it. But most importantly, Johnny has to deal with it. And Johnny hates sports to the tune of this. By the age of 13, those kids that would have been 6 years old when they signed up, 70% of them quit. Now, I'm not just saying they quit. There was a survey done to ask why did they quit at the age of 13. And they said they got tired of being yelled at, and by the fact of all of it, it was not fun for them anymore. So what should have been a great fun experience for kids, 70% said it wasn't fun. They got tired of it. So that's why Johnny hates sports. And that's why our organization is created to help train parents and train coaches and league administrators on how to run sports properly so that you could train them on, what role does winning playing sports for kids? Why do they come out for sports in the first place? All the things that can make sports positive for kids. So I urge you in your community, if they don't have a chapter of the National Alliance for Youth Sports, which is a nonprofit organization, that urge them to create a program so that your kids coach can be trained and have a background check and all the things that make it important for them to have a great experience. So I guess we're not going to be able to get our friend Ross Smith back because we got him in the beginning and he was on his way to who knows where. But we're going to have to close today's show with that. And I look forward to talking with you next week. So in the meantime, have a great weekend.
This program is sponsored by Sir Durf Publishing in the interest for better sports for kids, better kids for life.